We are live. All right. So I will call the meeting to order. And we will wish Sarah the best on her anniversary celebration. And as we miss her tonight. And the first order of business is to approve the agenda, which was emailed out. Any
Motion to approve it.
motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ah,
All opposed? Motion carries. Tori.
Paige did a lovely job taking the minutes last month, and she sent those out for your review. And you have a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Mhm.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Minutes are approved. So, Jonathan, thanks for meeting up with us again. What do you have, everybody?
so we'll go ahead and. But we'll move on. So finished up February. First, I believe we got a check in February. We do cover the rest of the cost of the bus. That's great. We do.
Wow.
12,000. Fantastic. So, as far as I know, y'all are moving forward with what it takes to order those. And as far as we know, it's cash first and buses after they build them.
Yeah.
Sometime. Okay. Yeah, that's fun. So that left us with at the end of the month, cash at just under 900,000, inclusive of that 75 unrestricted cash. That's just under 70 days cash on hand, which, as far as your bondholders are concerned, they're very happy with that. So a majority of that was in the savings account, which I've got that in writing down below. So year to date revenue just under 4 million. And as we've seen before, majority of that is state funding. But the federal funding is picking up as I'm working with Suzanne to get federal reimbursements from the Titles 1 through 4 and IDEA grants claimed. And we've received some of those funds already, and as we claim them, the district will flow through. It's usually around a 2-week delay, depending on if we're around the quarterly deadline, then they're going to get an influx of reimbursement submissions from all the schools in the district. So there may be a slight delay, but generally around 2 weeks from when we submit. So we've already gotten some Title I funding, I believe, and a little bit of Title III. Now, as far as expenses go year to date, 4.1 million. Our deficit from last month improved. We're at net loss, I believe last month was 296. And now we're at a deficit of 224. So moving in the right direction. Year to date instructional spend being 1.6 million, puts our ratio at 42%. And now moving on to metrics, like I mentioned, majority of that is in our savings account. Funds set aside particularly for the buses. I believe Suzanne put the 75 in savings, which is good. Puts cash on hand just under 70. Trailing 12-month net income at 195,000. I will let you guys know, if you notice in the financial packet, there's no breakout this time. We have passed the point of those one-time items needing to be broken out. So now we have a true trailing 12-month calculation without needing to break out any items for the board's edification. And so we are sitting at a 1.26 true debt service coverage ratio at the end of February. So debt service paid, we are up to date on debt service paid. So we have paid all the debt service that's due in this month, but because of the nature of the way that we account for the interest on a prorated monthly basis instead of just a one-time in August and then February, you'll see a little bit more accrued in this fiscal year. What we expected, and then moving forward, we won't see that anymore. So that puts our debt service coverage ratio at 1.26, and days cash on hand, like I said, just below 70 at 69.4, with a benchmark of 45. So we are in compliance, which is good. And as of February 1st, we're out of forbearance. Celebrate, that's huge.
That's huge.
So
It's great.
that's great. You guys have done a great job working hard to, especially you, Curtis, you've done a great job to working to help the school. It's showed, and so now the trick is to keep going.
Oh, because I know my tenure on the board hasn't been super long, but I feel like we have not had a year where these markers that you're covering haven't been dipping
Very
red.
good
Like
point.
it's been this kind of, but it seems like we have not gone underwater yet
So
since you came on board. I mean, you know, this fiscal year.
It's a good partnership, but also it shows a lot of your hard work.
Yes, very hard work.
So that is absolutely true. And so, Curtis, as we've been doing, we're gonna keep up with updating projections, the actuals, make sure we're sort of in line with where we anticipate being as we approach the end of this fiscal year in 3.5 months.
Yeah. Coming
That
fast.
is bizarre. My son turns 1 year old in 10 days and I'm not okay. Yes,
March, baby. Yeah.
I'm unwell.
Is he walking?
Not yet.
Yeah.
He's like lightning. He's quick. But you guys, this is good. Like I said, once we have the February actuals, we're gonna update our projections, make sure that as we approach the end of the year, the things like spending cuts on printing or supplies are tracking with the trend we anticipated. And like I said, if there is anything necessary, we'll communicate with the school. But as for now, that is what I have. We're gonna keep pushing. Sarah's working really, really hard with the local contribution. She's doing a great job. We're gonna keep working with Suzanne on getting those federal funding submissions in to keep cash flow healthy. Because as we know, the state funding only comes in at the end of the month, and so we want to make sure that leads in a position where we don't have to rely on that in order to make payroll at the end of the month. And so, another thing that I will sort of leave you guys with, in the state legislature yesterday, Chris Neely, who's the superintendent of the district, made note that some people in the House would like to push for some of the upcoming funding to be based on a weighted people unit dollar amount of 4308, which is decreased from, like, most of our projections are about 4320. Now, from what it sounds like, the Senate doesn't agree with that stance. They don't like that. But I wanted you guys to be aware that that was on the table. I don't know if that will be passed. I'm not in the minds of any of these friends over the legislative branch of our state, but in the interest of clarity for all of you guys, I just wanted you to be aware that that is a possibility. And we know that funding for May and June of this year is going to decrease from where we're at now. The trick is just figuring out how much, and sort of bracing for that a little bit, but also knowing that spend will decrease as the school year tapers off. So more to come on that. But just to make sure we temper expectations for the year, we'll make sure that everything is out in the air, that we're aware that things look decent right here, but we want to make sure that we're paying attention to what could potentially come. And as much as I wish I had a crystal ball, I don't. I can't tell you the future, but we can definitely try and use any sort of rumblings we might hear, or any information we have on, historical trends of how school years typically go, to try and expect the unexpected. So
Jonathan, how long does the legislature have to make this decision?
not sure. Certainly if this would potentially be a change for the funding in May, then before May. But I'm not totally certain.
Oh, it wouldn't just be for the next year, it would be immediate.
So it changes for every time the count is made.
Right,
So it would, for this past, 45-day count, it was more like 4360.
yeah.
Um,
So the next count begins in May.
yes,
Okay.
the next funding change is in
Got it.
May, and that will extend through August.
So if they didn't make a change before May, they lost their chance until August.
Potentially.
Yeah, okay.
And so that is less something where we have concrete numbers or anything like that, more just making sure that the school and the board are aware that legislators like to make changes, and they don't always consider, the people that they make changes for. So,
Well, in addition to whatever happens in May, we're looking at the draft budget for the next fiscal year, and that is relevant.
yes, it is.
So,
So we're. Yes, so as we continue on, just in discussions both with the board and the school about budget planning, we'll get an estimate on what we can anticipate, for a per weighted pupil unit dollar amount, which will hopefully get us, into a place where we can expect where we will hope to be. You guys have any other questions? That was a great question, Ross.
anything for Jonathan before he goes? Oh, so Stanton says he's in the Zoom lobby.
Okay.
Interesting. He was there.
Yeah. It's two stands.
Oh.
So, is this the end of your slide, sir?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Just stay on the Zoom link.
I figured I kept saying same things every month. Local funding, federal funding, so
We didn't get to see your slides.
Hey, Stanton,
I.
have you got us now?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
So Jonathan, we thought you were in the room. It looked like you were when his slides went up. So I'm not sure if you heard his report or not, but he just finished. And it was very encouraging. We're out of forbearance and the numbers are all above where they need to be. But before he leaves, I wanted to make sure if we had any questions for him related to what we need for draft budget before I know that's later on the agenda. But is there anything we need to ask Jonathan before he goes?
No, I've already talked to him about the template that's being requested, and he's working on that. Am I sounding an echo?
Yeah.
We got it too. We're showing like that you're in the room twice. You got two different boxes, so I'm not.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, same. Yeah, we can hear you.
Could you call one of us and then we could just be on our cell phones?
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. No, I don't have any questions. I've spoken with Jonathan about a updated template, that'll a fresh kind of template that'll help with the budget process. But once that gets completed or transcribed over, I do think we should engage him to kind of give the draft a review to make sure we're not missing anything. Whether it be expenses, revenue, what have you. That's all I wanted to say about that.
okay, great. Thank you. All right, thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, everybody. Back to you.
And enjoy the birthday party.
Oh, well, it's this Saturday.
Oh.
We're getting ready.
What's the theme?
It's first go round, so it's merry-go-rounds for.
Oh.
Lady Shepherd. It'll be fun.
Nice.
I just had another idea, so I should probably call my wife before I forget. You guys enjoy the rest of your meeting.
All right.
Thank you all.
See you. All right. Darian,
Yeah, so, we have the, mission statement, Lead Academy equips individuals to be well-rounded leaders, the principles of be nice, work hard, and serve well, have fun. And so, today we'll be highlighting one of our eighth grade students. His name is Carrington. What is how to pronounce Carrington? He's one of our student ambassadors. Yes, I have a picture of him. Yeah, nice looking young man. One of our student ambassadors. So he's one of the students that we choose to when visitors come in, he actually volunteers to talk with the visitors and do those types of things. I believe he was on he hosted the Scan Source team when they came, and we eventually got that grant. I heard he's a leader in the classroom, all conference basketball, so just a well-rounded young man. And he loves Lead Academy. He loves Lead Academy.
hmm,
And so I think it's really important to highlight, students like this, because it just proves what we do. It's one thing to say what we do, but to have students that we can put in front of people that represent our mission statement, I think is always good.
mhm.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Well, I'm not on for mission in a minute, but I have to tell y'all, I went to the third grade play.
Oh, yay.
I was
It was
blown
good.
away.
Yeah.
That was a production. That
Yeah.
was not a third grade play. It was so well done.
Yeah.
And the audience was so for those kids. I mean, it was a great experience.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks.
yeah, congratulate that.
Yeah.
I will.
It was amazing. My wife looked at me afterwards and was like, we have to make sure this is on our calendar. Yeah. Whatever you're thinking when you hear third grade play, it was way beyond.
Oh,
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
that's cool.
All right. Principal's report.
I'll just segue off of your
Yeah.
great play, and it was amazing. So if you're not familiar, we have our play at the Yant Center each year, which is, hopefully one day we'll have our own performing arts auditorium, but, it's a great theater and it's just built for performances. I think, the lighting is incredible at the Yant Center, so that really kind of brings the play to life, and just the music and the atmosphere. They have like this fog machine and kind of gives it some ambience. And our resource officer actually participated in helping us build props. So the ship that was in the play, he built that
Oh, wow.
from scratch.
Wow.
So
What was the play?
Moana.
Okay.
Moana
Yeah.
Junior. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I think that's evidence of just like how our whole team was just kind of bought into what we do here in that have fun vein, serve well. I think, our students did a great job. We actually have a drama club that was supposed to perform during the intermission, but they weren't quite prepared, but they were our ushers at the performance. So,
Okay,
yeah. And our goal is to, we've only done the third grade play, but our goal is to eventually expand beyond that and just offer try to do like a audition version of just a school-wide play where anybody, any grade can audition for a similar thing. Because through the years, I mean, we've done these third grade plays every year. And so you have students that were in third grade are now seventh and eighth graders, so it's just itching to be able to
Yeah,
do it
do it
again.
again.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're trying to provide the opportunity for those students next year. Our
Were
girl,
all the third graders, so it's not optional.
it's
Like,
not
they
optional.
all were in it.
They all
Yeah.
were in it
Yeah.
and performers. Now, some years we'll have some that are kind of stagehands and they like help with the curtains and lighting and sound and things like that. But this year, every student had
Yeah.
a on stage role, so
Yeah,
they all got to be on stage.
it was amazing.
Our girls' basketball team actually got the opportunity to be a part of the SEC tournament in Greenville, the girls' SEC tournament.
Wow.
And I believe they had the opportunity to go on the court and like warm up with one of the teams.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was
so-
supposed to chaperone.
Yeah, yeah. So we
We
were,
missed
I
that.
didn't get that call.
yeah, we were trying to take some of our middle schoolers, but we couldn't really work out the transportation.
Yeah.
But we were able to get our girls team there and,
That's great.
their parents were with them, and it was a really cool opportunity that they got to hang out with some of the girls' teams and meet some of the college players, so. So yeah, that's just a few things that are happening in May, excuse me, in March, not in May yet, soon. We have our state testing that'll be coming up in April, also, our iReady, that's our benchmark testing that will be coming up. We have our field days coming up. We have our annual spring fling that'll happen on April 9th. We'd love for all of you all to come out. That's just our annual kind of spring festival. Our book fair will be here. We're doing some fun tournament style things. We have like a video game Mario Kart tournament that'll be happening. With this rolling video game truck that comes and does this. We'll have some food, bounce houses, things like that. So just a fun night. And this is a portion of our pop fundraiser that we did at the beginning of the year, went towards funding our spring fling this year. We also had some leftover funding from our PTO from last year that we're using, that they raised particularly for events and things like that. So yeah, we're excited about that. So April 9th, 5:30 to 7:30, I believe are the times, for our annual spring fling. Yeah, so typically after, April, it's like the end. We have our state, like I said, testing is the end of April into May. We have our end of year trips, and then
Getting there.
we're finished for the year. So, yeah, I think those are most of our school updates. The bus, as Jonathan mentioned, we did get the remainder of our funding. We received a check. Our next step is actual put the bus order in, as Jonathan was mentioning. There's not like a bus lot where you just go pick up a bus through the way the funding and the grant is written. They have to build your bus from scratch. And so, we'll hopefully be able to put the order in soon. Our bus dealer, they're good people. They're not as responsive as we would like them to be. So, sometimes getting the turnaround to like figure out what the next steps are can take a while. So that's kind of where we are right now, is we're working with our Thomas bus dealer, International Transportation. They're based out of Columbia, and getting our bus order put in, and then getting our buses.
And how long does it take to build?
So he's quoting us 9 to 12 months. So hopefully, if we can get it in soon, maybe by Christmas. So we'll see, by Q4.
Nice,
Yeah. So are there any questions about that?
Was that one gift, that 75?
Yes, that was 1 year.
Okay. For the bus,
Yes,
yeah.
it is actually for like enrollment, so it's in the context of like
Mhm.
boosting enrollment, but the bus is in that,
Yeah.
that category.
Yeah.
So also on the agenda, the 21st Century Grant, we've had our grant for about 3 years now, which is the 21st Century, that's our after-school program here at Lee Academy. The grant, it gives us the ability to offer this grant for our families for free. The after-school program for free, so there's no tuition or anything. And they're currently, they're working within some like operational issues with funding, and so they have decided to not renew their grant for next year, which my goal is to try to keep the program here at Lead Academy. So, we reached out and, attempted a partnership with Upstate Circle of Friends, which is another nonprofit. Years ago, Lee Academy used to actually use their facilities for school when we were just a middle school back then. Or George Singleton is the executive director there, which they already have an after-school program. And so how this works is you have an organization that writes the grant. We currently have a staff in place that runs the program. So the idea is that the grant would just be under a new funding source with Upstate Circle of Friends, but we can kind of just keep rolling with the staff and
Same,
and
Yeah.
in-house system that we have. So I wanted to put that on the agenda. Usually these grants require board vote, so I just didn't want that to like hold up the process because the end of March is like the deadline. It's a really quick turnaround for this grant cycle, so I wanted to just make sure that we had board approval. So that wouldn't be a holdup. We're not sure if they're gonna get approved for it, so they're still in the grant writing process right now. But this would be a component of that process, so.
and so we would say we're voting on applying for a grant from Upstate Circle of Friends.
They're gonna renew our grant that formerly run by Freedom Within Walls nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
Who they will not be renewing. And Upstate Circle is gonna try to renew.
Got it. All right. So we need a motion to,
I don't quite got it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you would like to propose we apply for a grant with the Upstate Circle of Friends?
The 21st Century Community Grant.
Okay, okay. Thank
is 21st Century our name?
No,
No.
that's the
Okay.
name of the grant.
Okay.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Propose for,
Oh, it's like the middleman is changing, but the ultimate source of the grant is,
Still federal. It is
21st
a
Century.
federal grant. Yeah.
Okay.
federal funded.
Yeah. got
The
it.
middleman is changing.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Thank you, Tori. That was helpful.
I'm more clear on it now too.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion
So-
to approve?
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. So keep us posted on that, Curtis.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything
Okay.
else?
Great job for finding it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really trying. I think it's gonna be key to our school, so I really wanna have a program in place for next year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope it works out.
All right. Committee updates, Stanton.
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the 2026-2027 budget overview, you already alluded to that earlier. Hopefully that will be coming reasonably quick after Jonathan kind of provides that updated template and we're all kind of looking at the correct numbers and able to make sense of it all. But should be relatively quick. He also kind of mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, about the forbearance update, which is a good news to report that we're out of that for
That's
fiscal
good.
year 2024 violation. The next or the last piece on there for me is the enrollment software subscription. A few weeks ago, we had talked about some ways to improve or to help boost enrollment, and Chance had kind of brought up some ideas of other companies that help other similar schools to help boost enrollment. And anyway, to make a long story short, we had kind of found out that they had engaged in a kind of enrollment software program via email, and then we kind of discussed it and kind of figured out the contract was already signed prior to. So Sarah and I wanted to make sure that was brought up to make sure everybody was aware that that was not that within the bylaws. It was outside of that, and just wanted to make sure everybody was aware and bring that up for any discussion.
So is this, we're talking about with for admissions, enrollment? Because I think I talked to Rachel, that, yeah, so, and what company is it?
So the company is Avila.
Okay.
And that is the software, which the problem that we have identified is the inability to kind of track families, like when we communicate with them, there's this kind of complicated process where some families are like enrolling, some families are applying, some families are submitting like documentation. And so there's just this process where you're trying to stay engaged with families all along the way. Historically, we've seen that, we feel like families kind of become disengaged and then they don't follow through with all of the steps and then they don't enroll. And so, and I think Darian has his direct experience from his enrollment experience.
Yeah, I talked to Rachel, and that's one thing that I identified. I asked her what process was there, and she showed me a tremendous spreadsheet. I was like, oh, this is, I think we need something a little bit more concise than this spreadsheet, because we're trying right now to keep everything in the spreadsheet, and with
Yeah.
enrollment and then current enrollment, future enrollment, it's just a lot of things that she's trying to keep up with.
Yeah.
And I think this enrollment system, this student system will help us,
Yeah.
be able to do that, so.
And it, Rachel's job is so extensive.
Yeah.
She was almost like building a platform and a system from
Yeah.
scratch where
Yeah.
these things are, available to us. Where, she's doing this enrollment process by herself. I think this it's a kind of a CRM kind of style of software where it's just kind of built-in reminders that are sent to people, and you can kind of schedule information to go out regularly. So it's kind of like her personal assistant to kind of help her to keep track of where people are in the process and making sure they're being communicated with. As Stanton mentioned, this kind of came up in one of our bond conversations as like a response to, the whole enrollment conversation. And so the intent was to respond to that through an enrollment plan to address some of the enrollment issues, to identify what the enrollment issue was, along with the CRM. I think the platform also kind of gets our name out there more in front of families and students, and that's another area where we have, I think, historically not done a great job of. To some of Jonathan's point with state legislatures and state, decisions, I think the enrollment conversation is actually like a very large conversation when you're talking about new charters opening up. I hope you all saw the article that I shared with vouchers that are happening where people can use their per pupil for private schools now. And so, I think in the future, I would like to dedicate time to have like a full enrollment discussion as it relates to Lead Academy.
Mhm.
Because I think we're such a unique school, we're doing such a unique thing, and we're in such a unique time where I think we have to talk about all the barriers and the outliers and all the things that are involved in enrollment to make like best long-term decisions to keep us at our projections, or hitting projections or maintaining projections. So, I mean, enrollment is not only just reaching new families, but it's also maintaining current families. That comes with like staffing decisions and teacher retention. So it's so many layers to enrollment. So I think sometimes it feels like it can just be reduced to just like butts and seats equals money, but it is a lot of variables that go into
She's doing a lot.
enrollment.
It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot, yeah.
So
So Curtis, thank you for that update. And just to be clear, when you said I want us to have a fuller discussion around enrollment, did you mean the board? Like, would you like to see that on the agenda in the future, or were you thinking of something different?
I would no, well, yes and no. I think that enrollment is strongly tied to the budget. And I think that
Yeah.
sometimes when we get into budget conversations, I think the full idea around what is best for the school as it relates to enrollment and enrollment decisions and enrollment plan can get lost in just numbers.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of the conversation, but I also think that you have to think about, as I mentioned, you have to think about maintaining students. You have to think about advertising, you have to think about, the enrollment process, you have to think about, all the things, how many charters are opening up in our area? No charters are meeting projected numbers. Even district schools are under enrolled, so you have to think
Right.
about what's happening in the market and what's happening with school choice in general, right? And so like, I think all of these things, I'm luckily a nerd, and so I just read about all of these things that are happening constantly. And so I think that all of those are factors in how we decide what's next for enrollment. I think that the Avila platform is great, but I don't think it's the solution, right? So I think I don't think we're talking about just should we do Avila or not, or did we sign a contract too early or not? I would like, what is best for Lee Academy moving forward and like a full enrollment plan. Enrollment depends on bus and transportation, after school program, food, all of those things, like what are families looking for? And so I think that's the discussion that I think is needed. I would say, I don't know if that should be a board meeting or if that should be like in a committee of some sort, maybe development or somebody would, like, we could have these discussions in more detail. But I think a development meeting sounds different, an enrollment development meeting sounds different than an enrollment finance meeting. And so at some point, the two have to come together and we have to have like a collaborative conversation around what enrollment is.
Yeah, almost like a strategy.
I was gonna say, it's a strategic meeting, they're putting all the pieces together.
Yeah,
I have a question. So we have already purchased the,
So we haven't paid for it. We
Okay.
signed a contract.
okay, may I ask how much? I was just kind of curious to.
I didn't know Stan wanted to mention. So we,
Yeah, he signed a 3-year contract for initially 10,000. I think the issue at hand here is not whether it's a good or bad decision of software. It's more of when you are engaging in these contracts, it needs to be approved by the board, but more than anything, it needs to be approved by the board when it's over budget. I think there's probably some leniency when it's within budget, but this was over budget and it was kind of asked for after it was already signed up for the 3-year contract.
Gotcha, okay. And 3 years, is that the minimum that we could have signed up for, or is that?
yeah, so a lot of these companies work with bigger districts, and so they can sign like bigger contracts. So it's really not to their advantage to work with us because we don't have a lot of students. We're a really small school, and they usually charge a like per student price or like a range. So if you like maybe 200 to 300 students, you'll pay this price, or 300 to 400 students, you will pay this price.
Okay.
And so the goal was usually, and this isn't just with this company, it's like that.
Right, yeah.
We signed multiple like multi-year contracts to try to get the best deal. And I think the goal in that also was to break these payments up. And so I knew we were going to be over budget. The work that I tried to do with Avila was to, hey, can we chunk out the payments to where they know that we're asking about this program in
Per year
March.
type thing?
Yeah, they know we're asking it in the month of March. They know we're towards the end of our budget.
Yeah.
That we probably already gone through the budget, so they're willing to work with us knowing, hey, you probably don't have the full amount at this moment in time in your budget. And so the $4,500, I believe, was like the best I could do to like get them within close to what was remaining in our advertising budget. And so we ended up being about $1,000 over budget. And then the rest of the money was deferred to FY 27 so that we could
Okay.
plan to budget for the remaining amount.
yeah, so I think from a procedural standpoint, Curtis, apart from the value, it would be, to Stan's point, would be just the procedure of anytime something it's tricky if you were thinking of it as, well, we're going to get it in this year's budget. I can see that,
Mhm.
Versus, oh, we need a new budget amendment to get this thing in. And I feel like most of our board meetings this year, we have talked about the budget. And are there any amendments that need to be made, so if we could just clarify, you know, I know you know this, but like moving forward, any new large contracts or things that could impact the budget that are not currently covered in the budget,
Mhm.
if you could make sure your people know to send it to the board before signing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I will do that.
great.
I would also mention that I think that this was not my intention to like make this purchase at this time of year or to even be looking at this. I think this was in response to bondholder conversations and planning for,
Right.
you know, the expectation for an enrollment plan. So I would say normally we don't sign these contracts in the middle of the year
Yeah.
unless it's like a renewal that of something that we've
It's already
already
approved.
established.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah,
Well, From
understood.
the strategic perspective, I
Yeah.
mean, I work in marketing, CRM is a really exciting thing.
yes.
So, it makes sense.
Now I have two questions. Has Rachel ever come to a board meeting as a, you know, an enrollment person? Okay, okay.
Yeah, she is
Okay.
coming with
Okay.
me. Would you encourage that to just kind of talk about this platform?
Maybe once or twice, I think.
Okay.
I think
It'd be neat to see
I think it'd be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
Because you think about,
Yeah.
like, just from what I would assume this software is gonna allow her to do,
Right.
like, cost alone,
Mhm.
the time it's gonna save her to allow her to put more effort into enrollment,
Yeah.
to like beef up some of these things that this is gonna allow her to do.
Yeah.
I think that would give a good perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now, like I said, she's doing everything. She's doing all
Yeah.
the contact and she's meeting the parents.
Mhm.
I mean, she's doing it all. So I
Yeah.
think, you know, at least beginning of the year, maybe middle of the year, end of the year meeting, come to a board meeting, I think would be
Okay.
Be
Yeah,
helpful.
definitely.
And also, well, last time Rachel and I talked, we talked about one of those forms where, yes, we're sending out to the parents to see if their spot, yes, I'm returning next year or not. We
Mhm.
sent that out yet, or,
Yeah, so we typically send those intent forms out earlier in
Intent
the
form,
year, and we decided to push it back a little bit
Okay.
as a strategy to just see if maybe not getting those commitments so early would give us more like concrete responses.
yeah, yeah.
I
Of
mean,
people.
seriously, everything in the world is that way.
Right,
People
Right.
say yes and they mean,
yeah.
I'll think about it when the day
Right.
comes.
Yeah, and so that's the thought that we felt like in the past, we don't really even get like a super huge response, and then the response that we get, we're like, you know,
It's not
can we depend
dependable.
on it?
Yeah.
And so we decided to push that back. I think her plan is to send that out towards the end of,
Yeah, okay.
beginning of April, towards the end of
Okay,
March,
yeah.
and so
That
to
sounds
just to
good.
see
Yeah,
if we get a better response and more reliable data.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pass on to Sarah the idea of like working on a more of a full enrollment plan, a
Yeah.
strategy.
Mhm.
And then she can maybe follow up with you on the best way, like where is it, the full board, where is it?
Mhm.
Different players
Mhm.
from your team, from the
Yeah,
board.
yeah,
Yeah,
And I think an important part of that is making sure we have all the pieces, understanding everything Rachel does, because we know it's so much.
It is a lot. Yeah.
Because some of those things go unnoticed.
Yes.
And it's easy to do because she makes those pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think making sure we have all those pieces, understanding every aspect of it, might take a couple meetings.
Okay.
and she also deals with an open enrollment, you know, like,
Yeah, they're like current, yeah.
Like current
She
enrollment,
deals with
yeah.
Students that want
Yeah.
immediate enrollment, right,
Right,
so,
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of layers to it. Yeah.
It's really hard to build strategy is a lot of what I do in my job. So that's how my brain thinks. It's really hard to build it if you don't have all the pieces.
Yes.
If you don't know all the answers. We're not gonna know all the answers right away. But if we know all the goals we're going towards, it's a lot easier to formulate it.
Yes,
And having Rachel's perspective and anyone else involved in that is gonna be huge.
that is my brain also.
good. Anything else, Stanton?
you know.
No, sir.
All right.
It did work when you did it, so,
Yeah.
I don't know, just something out there.
All right, thank you, Paige.
Yeah. Development report. So we have some fiscal year updates here, and I tried to set it to where I could see last month and this month, but that didn't carry, so sorry. But it is, the numbers are bigger this time, so that's a good sign. The 15-year campaign has increased to, actually, it would be in the investment. We've increased to 167,000, which is a great thing for the 15-year campaign. That's an increase from last month, as well as an increase in family fundraisers, 37,000. Grant checks, this includes the in-kind, excluding in-kind things, so these are just numbers, not gifts, that are 22,000, with a total of 226,500. Or if you know, just. So the numbers are very good from
Yeah, great.
last month, which is great. And that's just, of course, a reflection again on Sarah's hard work.
And not, that doesn't include the 75,000 for the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't even update the bus section because we knew that you had the great news to share. There are still working on exploring the charging station rebate with Duke.
Yes.
I believe, yes, okay.
And how much is that charging station?
We got 2 quotes. I think Sarah is averaging them around $65,000 or so. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And how much is the bus?
The buses are about $900,000 for 2
Okay.
electric buses.
You think it would come with a charging?
They have better never break down.
Yeah. It's weird because it varies state to state too. So like how much they can charge for the bus.
Interesting.
Your infrastructure for your charging station depends on your facilities and what's available and all that. So it's just kind of weird.
At the end of February, we met with Conisty to talk through some of their options with that little tiny piece of land. So they're working on putting together an informal appraisal of it, just to kind of see if what the easement kind of options look like. It's a lovely meeting. I learned a lot. All right, grants. The Hathaway Foundation opened up a new micro grant program to fund immediate food and health needs. So LEAD has been awarded $7,000 to replace the failing cafeteria fridge, which
Okay.
is great.
Yay.
Okay. And then Sarah's asking if anyone has any connections to the Milliken Foundation grant. It's invitation only. So anyone who knows anyone, send them her way. And then we have a list of ones we need to approve that I will read off.
This Milliken is in Greenville. I think there's a Milliken.
Sparkburg, right?
Well,
They're probably
they're
wonderful.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I know some people that work at the Milliken Board. So. See, my wife,
Connection is a
my wife, she knows lots of people. So.
Okay, so we have a little list of some grants on Sarah's radar to work on starting the application process for. That she does need board approval for. We have the State Farm Good Neighbor Grant for safety. Rotary Duck Derby, which will be for Lead Reads Week. And then the Grace Church grant that will also go towards Lead Reads Week that we need board approval. Anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And then the next Fun Friday is March 22nd. Younger kids will have, this says in the morning, older kids in the afternoon, right now. Oh, this is the March Madness one. If anyone's interested in volunteering, reach out to Sarah. And then as Curtis mentioned, spring.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh,
Okay. Excellent. No reason for executive session. So anything else from anyone? Put out a couple of feelers for like potential board interest.
Okay.
Haven't had any bites
Okay.
yet, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try to Some people.
based on the, I was thinking bilingual specifically, so I was trying to work that angle.
Yeah, that would be incredible. That would be incredible.
Yeah. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
is that a second?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone. All right.
Wonderful.